If you like to make your NFL games a little bit more interesting, you've come to the right place. It's the Even Money Podcast with Ross Tucker and Steve Fezzik.
Yeah, Vegas, baby, Vegas. It is the Even Money Podcast. We are presented by DraftKings. The crown is yours. And yes, I am back from vacation and a bunch of other things, which is why my voice is not quite 100%. So I'm kind of going with my lower Barry White baritone sexy voice, I guess, for today's show, which also means that Steve Fezzik, the professional sports bettor, will carry the show. He normally does anyway, and you should follow him on social media at Fezzik Sports. As a reminder, we got some big things coming this season. Still not ready to announce them yet, but we got some big things coming as it relates to this show this season that you should be very fired up about. In fact, we're about 2 weeks away from the first NFL preseason game. And so you might want to go to patreon.com/RTmedia and become a Tuckheads member so that you can see all of our bets in black and white all season. Because, hint, hint, there's going to be more bets this season than there have been other years. Love those of you that rate, review, subscribe, and share this show. There's a lot to get to, actually, today. I'm Ross Tucker, the former NFL offensive lineman, at Ross Tucker NFL on social media. You can follow us at Ross Tucker Pod. And, of course, lots of you like to watch on YouTube, youtube.com/Ross Tucker NFL. I've been told by a lot of people we're the number one NFL betting podcast in the world, which is very cool, very humbling if that's in fact correct. It is really cool to see all the email questions that we get. And Steve, I think I'm going to start there today. So I want to get your Major League Baseball observations, at the All-Star break. I want to get any new season win total bets you have. I know you have a new week 1 bet in the NFL, so I want to get to that as well. But we got multiple questions, maybe 3 to 5, maybe more than that emailed me, ross@rosstucker.com, that all wanted your breakdown and your perspective on the new big, beautiful bill that has capped the deduction for gambling losses at 90% of the winnings. So this question is from Michael Isco, and I'm using Michael's question because he sent in a screenshot of rating and reviewing the show on Apple Podcasts. So you do that, you go to the top of the queue. So thank you, Michael. Here's what he said, Steve. Hey, Ross, love your show and your PA pride. Unfortunately, the recent passage of the federal bill capped deduction for gambling losses at 90% of the winnings. Obviously, there is a significant possibility that this does not actually take effect due to potentially passing another law in the meantime, and there appears to be interest in doing so. However, in the possibility that this becomes federal law at the end of 2026, can you please speak to if this would affect a futures bet, such as Super Bowl champ or NBA champ, that was placed in June 2025 before this law was passed, but would not actually settle until 2026? Excited to hear yours and Steve's take on this question and the bill in general. So maybe go over your, I don't know if you know the answer to that question, Steve, and you want to hit that, but then obviously I'm going to have a bunch of questions for you on the bill in general.
Yeah, so the big, beautiful bill is a disaster for professional gamblers because you can only deduct, as you mentioned, 90% of your losses per session. So if you define a session to be each and every bet, obviously if you bet a future bet, it resolves in 2026. So it would be part of your 2026 gains or losses. So if you won, then you'd be responsible for the win in your 2026 taxes. Now, let's assume you're just betting large and you win $1 million and lose $1 million in 2025. No problem. They net out. You break even. You don't pay any taxes. In 2026, the way the bill is constituted now, you have $1 million in income. You only get to deduct 90% of those losses. That's $900,000. So think about this, Ross. You make nothing, but you have to pay $100,000 on taxes. I believe it's unconstitutional, but that's the way that it's written right now. So if it's not adjusted, it is going to be basically an extinction event for someone who does their taxes that way. They cannot make money, just like any business couldn't make their money if they weren't able to deduct their expenses off of their wins. We'll see if it's adjusted. The only other way around it would be if you defined your session, each session, to be the entire year, which I don't believe is viable. So a lot of serious bettors very, very upset and thinking about taking a year off. I'm sure they'll fix this eventually. Hopefully they'll fix it before 2026.
So I don't follow politics like at all. And the only reason why I even know about this is because it affects us. It affects sports betting. Have you read or heard anything, Steve, on why this is even in this bill, or what the impetus is for this? Like, why is this even a thing?
Because the politicians are desperate for money because our country is so far in debt, and what better target than gamblers? The whole idea of going after smokers and drinkers and higher taxes on vices. And I think that's why this became a direction that they took. But frankly, like the pro poker players, they can't survive with this. And so I'm confident that, and I know that Titus is working. She's a politician to go ahead and have language to fix this bill. And I'm optimistic.
So I get it. Why does everybody keep talking about it only for professional gamblers? Like, isn't this bad for everybody?
It is bad for everybody, but the truth is that the recreational bettor that makes 50,000 and loses 50,000 and basically breaks even, by the letter of the law, they're supposed to declare 50,000 in income and 50,000 in losses. I don't think they bother. They're like, hey, I didn't make any money. So since they never file that way anyways, it's really not going to, it should impact them, but it won't impact them because they're just not going to declare that income in their taxes. They haven't in the past and they won't in the future.
So I know that we are, our presenting sponsors, DraftKings. I guess I'm curious how the sports books feel about this. Because on the one hand, they want higher handle, they want more volume, all those things. On the other hand, if this is primarily professional bettors that it affects, these are people that, to sustain have to win more than they lose. So is it fair to say, Steve, that perhaps the DraftKings and the other big sports books, that they're agnostic on this or not at all?
I actually think that they're happy about it because they don't want me betting with them. Let's face it. They just want the recreational bettors playing their same game parlays. So books like DraftKings, perfectly happy with this bill.
Wow. So then who's fighting for you guys?
Well, there's Captain Jack Andrews and guys like that who is like the ambassador for pro bettors are fighting for us, and just anyone that's interested in fairness is fighting for us. All of the poker players and their lobbyists are fighting for us because it impacts them the most.
Why do you say that, by the way? Why does it impact poker the most?
Just because poker players have these insane high buy-ins, so when they wind up winning, it's immediately taxable, all of their wins, so they have to do their taxes this way, showing wins and losses.
It's just so confusing to me. Are there any other businesses that are like this where you don't get to deduct all your losses?
None that I'm aware of.
That's what's wild, right?
Absolutely. It really is just insane. And like I said, the other possibility is that maybe they could have guidance and that you could define a session to be, the entire segment or the year of betting. And, that is possibly one other way around it.
All right. How would this affect you, Steve? Like, let's say that this bill, stays in force and that it's not corrected. How does this change your life?
Oh, I might stop betting for a year and I might start doing much more podcasts and media stuff and things like I'm super excited, Ross. I'm having a betting seminar coming up here first week in August, vegasbettingevent.com. And I meet with people who haven't been winning or are serious bettors and they want to win more and consult with them on how to win more money. So I might be doing more events and things like that.
Wow. That is really wild. I think it's just, I guess they're scratching and clawing for any way to get money. And it's, hey, the thing is like, I know the vices and I know the negatives of betting, right? People, addiction and all those things that we talk about that are real issues and concerning. But that's not really who they're targeting with this. Like, it's like the professional bettors are not the ones that are contributing to society's ills, I guess I would say.
And there's no difference between a sharp day trader in the stock market and a sharp sports bettor. I mean, we're really doing the same thing. So it's totally unfair that the bettors that they're gambling responsibly basically are being targeted. So there's all this talk about how to gamble responsibly. No one ever comes out and says, well, maybe gamble and try to win. They're like, just gamble less and try to lose. And that way you won't get crushed, as opposed to raising your game and actually playing like a strong player.
Wow. That is very interesting. We don't usually spend that much time on something, but when you get 3 to 5 questions this week, all very similar, all wanted your thoughts on it, I wanted to do a deep dive. More great stuff right after this. Hope everybody had a tremendous weekend doing what I was doing, drinking beer, in particular, Labatt Blue Light. Absolutely delicious. And I don't know who came up with this program for that company. This is genius. Buy beer, get gear. Just buy Labatt anywhere, at a bar, distributor, whatever. Upload your receipt. You get points to get incredible merch. Love the cooler backpack that I have. Love the mini fridge. Rewards.labattusa.com is where it's at. I also kind of want to get your thoughts on MLB. Here we had the home run derby last night, and curious your thoughts on Major League Baseball here at the All-Star break.
So I'm looking at season wins. That's my focus, making bets. And I do have a couple of them. I'll give them out right now. The odds makers tend to make a mistake, in my opinion. And the mistake they make, Ross, is they stay anchored on what a team's season win was to start the year. So if a team was supposed to win half their games at the All-Star break, let's say they're having a really good or a bad year, they'll forecast their final record going back to, they were supposed to be a 500 team. They should win about half their games in the second half. But what they should be doing is using their adjusted power rating. That team's better than we thought or worse than they thought. Let's talk about 2 specific teams. Let's talk about the Marlins and let's talk about Washington. So you've got a situation where Miami was supposed to be really bad and Washington was supposed to be better. That's not the case. Miami's the better team than Washington. They've won 6 more games in Washington. So by the end of the year, Miami should probably win 8 or 9 more games in Washington, maybe 10. But their season win adjusted right now at the All-Star break is comparable for these 2 teams, which is ludicrous. So available at DraftKings right now, Miami over 69.5 wins, Washington under 67.5 wins. Miami's going to win 70 plus. Washington's going to win 65 or less. Both those bets are going to cash. I guarantee it, Ross.
Wow. Wow. How can you guarantee it?
If it loses, come to Vegas. Show me the betting slip. I'll buy you a drink.
Wow. That is wild. So why don't the odds makers understand? Like, why do they stay so anchored to preseason?
Because they're spending
In the NFL, I feel like they move on from preseason after like 4 weeks.
They do. It's because they're spending hours and hours trying to figure out who's pitching to the home run derby contestants to handicap those numbers correctly. Shout out to my buddy Jared Smith, who Ross. I didn't bet these. I'm embarrassed. He went 9-1, I think. His suggested bets, and I think a big part of it was handicapping the pitchers that were throwing to the batters during. I didn't watch it. The home run derby.
Seriously?
Seriously, yes. I retweeted it.
But what's the difference between the pitchers?
Well, some pitchers can pitch and throw meatballs right down the middle, and some pitchers aren't as good at it, right? You want a good pitcher to be able to hit home runs?
Wow. Yeah, of course. I just like, why do the guys in the Derby use guys that aren't good at it?
Can't answer. Not a priority probably for them.
Got it. Okay. You talked about day trading, Steve. You went to New York recently for the first time in a long time. We never talked about it on the show, but you went to New York recently with your son, and I guess I'm curious, how was the experience?
Oh, fantastic experience. I cannot disclose the investment firm because of my son is so young, but he was basically shadowing. So he's not allowed to do work formally for the firm, but we went there. He went into the office for 2 days, and he's in with all these interns who are 19 years old from like NYU and from these various 20 and 21 year olds, and he just loved it and was involved with projects and the like, and it was just a great experience in Manhattan. And I'll wait to see what direction he wants to take his career. He's only 14, but he did just get 5s on all his exams, including calculus and stats. So he's uniquely qualified to be a quant in Wall Street one day.
Hold on a second. He's 14 years old, and he got a 5 in AP calculus and AP statistics?
Yes. He's way, way smarter than his dad.
Oh my gosh. That kid's a gold mine. You ever think, Steve, by the way, with how your brain works and how smart you are with the math, you ever think like how much more money you could have made if you got into like finance?
That's why my son was in Manhattan recently, and I'm steering him that direction. By the way, Ross, I need a good reference from Princeton because that's one of our finalist schools. You know anyone who might be able to hit up on?
It's funny when you talk to them about admissions, like that's the one thing that they can't, no matter who you are, no matter who you know, with all the scandals that came out, over the last 10 years, that's the one thing you talk to people and they're like, I can help you get tickets to this. I can help you do this. Admissions, I can't do anything. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Like their hands are totally washed of it. But it would sound to me like he's got a pretty good shot if he's getting 5s on AP Calc and statistics at 14 years old. In all sincerity, though, you wouldn't have as much fun. Or you think you would if you did banking as opposed to sports?
I would not have as much fun, but I'd still have fun. But the problem is, of course, really, really long hours demanded in that industry. And so the beauty of what I do is if I want to take a week and not bet that week, I could. But to be honest, what I do, it's a privilege. It's really fun. And I'll use an example. I mentioned it earlier. My seminar I'm giving first week in August is going to be so much fun. Kevin O'Neill and I used to do these like years and years ago, and I made lifelong friends, like my friend Danny in Kentucky, who came and he became a professional bettor based upon it. So super excited about that. By the way, it's not for, if you're just a recreational bettor, don't go. This is for serious, super serious people that want to raise their game up higher. So again, it's a Vegas betting event, and I won't be doing much betting during that seminar on Friday and Saturday. Just be interacting and having fun and really helping people learn things like, if you get a bonus, for instance, I'll show you how to get 75 cents on the dollar with the bonus instead of just getting 50 cents on the dollar if you just bet a random play.
I guess it depends on the person, but when do you think someone transitions from being a recreational bettor to being someone really serious about it?
When they start making more than $20,000 a year, that would be my number.
Oh, interesting. Okay. When they start making more than $20,000 a year, you think it's more of a serious thing?
Yes. Maybe it should be 15, maybe it should be 30, but I throw out 20,000.
Got it. So people that make more than 20 a year, this event's for them.
Yes, exactly. Or people who are basically breaking even that want to be making 20,000 a year or more. Yes.
So speaking of making money, we were going to do NFL Week 7 bets this week, but you texted me you have a new one for Week 1?
Yeah, I've got 2 Week 8 bets, but Week 1, you know what? The more I look at this, the more I like the Vikings, and I'm down on the Bears, and they play each other Week 1. I'm going to lock it in. The Vikings plus 1.5, minus 115. Wrong team's favored. Let's jump on the Vikings, who I actually think are going to win 10 games. I think the Bears are going to win 7. We're going to be on the Vikings Week 1.
It's kind of wild. I guess they're underdogs because of McCarthy.
Yeah, and I don't think the Vikings would have let Darnold go if they weren't confident handing the keys over to McCarthy. And also, he's not a rookie quarterback. He's a second-year quarterback. I'll trust the Vikings and their organization in that decision.
Got it. Okay. I like it. And you do. So there was nothing. Well, but before we get there, was there something else MLB you liked? I missed the division.
Yeah, the Phillies, I think, should be a significant favorite against the Mets because their starting pitching is so much better. I know they need help in the bullpen. They'll probably pick it up at the trade deadline. But, that 1-4, their top, the Phillies starters have such a superiority over the Mets, and the Phillies have a slight lead in the East. I'm going to take the Phillies to win the NL East minus 135.
Got it. Yeah, you would think over time that the difference in pitching staff would just wear down, the Mets' chances against the Phillies with all the good pitchers the Phillies have.
Yeah, true. And certainly it's a bigger advantage in the playoffs than it is in the regular season. But still, you get a quality start night after night after night for the Phillies. And that advantage should be the difference.
What about Week 8 in the NFL? So I'm assuming this means nothing jumped out to you Week 7.
That's correct. So we're going to go to October 26th. We're going to go to Houston. Houston plus 1.5, hosting the 49ers. Wrong team is favored here. Good spot also for Houston that is off of a bye Week 6. So they only have one game after. So a relative rest advantage, even though they play Monday Night Football Week 7. San Fran, third road game in 4 weeks. No bye yet. Houston plus 1.5. One more, and you can comment on both. Buffalo, I am laying the lumber. I'm laying minus 7. They are at Carolina. Buffalo, great spot. Warren Sharp City here, off of a bye. Carolina plays at the Jets the week before. I make this game 8.5, so I will lay minus 7 with Buffalo.
So you say you make this game 8.5. That's based on your power rankings right now.
That's correct. So, the danger always is, what happens if things change? What if Young can suddenly play and Carolina's a 500 team? Well, then, if that's the case, I'll have a bad bet. But you know what? The opposite can happen also. Buffalo can be undefeated and Carolina can be struggling, and then this line will be 11.
That's not like you, though, Steve, to lay that many points.
True, but typically in these games of the year, I'm much more apt to do it because these odd makers are very reluctant about making any team a double-digit favorite on a game of the year because of the uncertainty. So if I'm correct and Buffalo is indeed one of the best teams in the NFL, which I expect them to be, then -7 is going to be very light.
Got it. All right. So for those of you keeping track, Steve likes the Miami Marlins over 69.5, Washington Nationals under 67.5. He likes the Phillies -135 to win the division over the Mets. He really likes the Vikings +1.5 at -115 in week 1 against the Bears. And then week 8, he's taking Houston +1.5 against the Niners and Buffalo -7 at Carolina. We'll get into weeks 9 and perhaps 10 next week here on the show. Other than that, good luck, everybody. Hope you guys win some money.
Thanks for tuning in to Even Money. Make sure to also check out the Ross Tucker Football Podcast, Fantasy Feast, and College Draft, all on the DraftKings Network, YouTube, or subscribe to the podcast on your favorite platform.